I think we're back. There was a problem with capturing OBS. So yeah, I think it works right now. So yes, I was talking about the Dark Pictures, Men of Medan. And I guess this will be part 2 of the stream, the other stream. Anyways, as I said, Men of Medan was not my favorite, even though it had a good cast of characters. Somewhat not that interesting, in my opinion, but it was good. It was really good. And the horror was kind of not there sometimes, but it had a good scare. It had a good scare here and there. Yeah, I rhymed. Anyways, let's move on to my favorite game of all 3, maybe not, but it's close second, which is The Little Hope. The Little Hope was about a person who was struggling in his mind with the tragic loss of his family. And this person lived in this town, and he struggled through all this, and by showing us what struggle he had, the game was created kind of like in Silent Hill 2 style, where there is this place for a person, protagonist, and he can kind of make rational sense of it all. It also had amazing cast, which I enjoyed. I surely loved the development of all the characters, and of course it had the spooks and everything, and I really enjoyed that. Yeah, for sure. It was great. It was truly great. Especially this little jump scare with the girl, and the whole connection with the witches and the old history of the town. That was kind of weird, but overall towards the end it was amazing. I loved Little Hope, and personally it touched me in a way that other horror games did not, because of when Little Hope came out, I had personal struggles, and it kind of, for me, Little Hope was not just, as some people described it to be, it was just a dream thing. No, it wasn't. I don't think it was just a dream, and I think people struggle to realize that for some others who have trauma, and of course I'm not in position to talk about it, even though I do have a medical degree, but I'm in position to talk about it because of the game being fictional. So I think people underestimate and they don't understand fully what trauma can cause to a person and what it can lead to for them. And overall, in my opinion, Little Hope showed some darker colors of the game, even though once again towards the end, like the game Men of Medan, it all made sense. It all made rational sense. And for most people who were kind of disappointed with Men of Medan, and they saw Little Hope, that's why they got more salty, I think. In my opinion, Little Hope was not received as well as it was supposed to, and it did not deserve the hate which it got. But of course, it's my personal opinion, and many people, not in the chat, unfortunately, but if some people will see this video, they will say that Little Hope was trash, and Little Hope's ending was bad, and Little Hope was, oh, this happened all in the character's head. Well, most of the games and just in general, our life happens in our heads, so it's not like we can see others' heads or read someone else's opinions and thoughts, but it was kind of mind-boggling to me, and I think I was very disappointed by the players trashing this game so much. So yeah, I think Little Hope's bad reviews were because of Men of Medan, and Men of Medan was not a great game, as I said. It was not. Little Hope, that was great, but Men of Medan, not so much. And now we're moving on to the third game, which is House of Ashes, which I have good things to say, I have bad things to say, but overall was fantastic. House of Ashes did everything that horror games are not doing right now. House of Ashes made amazing characters, established the horror, the monsters, and towards the end it was not some rational explanation like in Men of Medan or Little Hope, but rather it was a true horror, the true realistic monsters, and it wasn't inside of characters' heads, it wasn't some drug or anything. It really happened. It really happened to those characters. And from the perspective of character development and story, I think House of Ashes managed to create some amazing characters. And I would say Jason and Selim, and a lot of people will agree with me, were the best characters in the game. Their connection, their let's call it romance, their relationships, it was truly amazing. And even though I was kind of disappointed with the action-packed horror game, I mean, it was too much action-packed. Like Resident Evil 8, which I've talked about on my channel. Resident Evil 8 was good, but for some people it was too much action, too much vampire, zombie things, and I think, some people did not receive that game as well as Resident Evil 7, which is amazing. The same goes with this one. It was good towards the end, and it had its own struggles for the characters, but overall this was way better. I think, in my opinion, it was way better than Resident Evil 8, even though I am not going to compare those two games, which have very different mechanics. Basically, the Dark Pictures Anthology makes movie games, like games which kind of homage movies, but you can actually interact with them. So it's interactive fiction rather than it being, a game. Which I think games are interactive fiction, but if you compare Resident Evil 8 and this game, definitely Resident Evil 8 has less action, I think, than this one. Well, from the point of this being a story-driven game and Resident Evil being... Well, I guess I'm wrong there, because Resident Evil 8 is a story-driven game too, because it's linear. This is not linear, by the way. The Anthology, the Dark Pictures Anthology and Supermassive games, they're not linear. You can make choices, you can have different endings, and so far so long. And I'm really tired. I'm sorry, everyone, because it's like 3 a.m. at night and I'm doing live and no one is watching, but it's okay. I think Resident Evil 8 has less action than this one, based on the story. But based on the mechanics, Resident Evil 8 is like shooting and killing and doing bad things. So, as I said, the good things about this game was the monsters, the characters, the story, but most of all it was the execution. The execution, the quality, the sense which we care about the characters. We want them to live. We want them to survive this hell. It was very, very good. It was done brilliantly. And what fascinates me about this is how realistic it got towards the end. And even though it was kind of silly, some parts were silly, but it established the story from the beginning, and that's what matters. Now, about the bad thing, which might be a problem for some people, but before I move on to that, I would say that Jason is one of the best characters with Selim, and I love Jason. Jason's development arc was way better than the most characters, and if he didn't survive in one of your gameplays, if anyone is watching and played it and you didn't manage to make to get Jason alive, then shame on you. Shame on you, because this is the best character. I mean, I would have killed any character, but not Jason. And Salim, of course. Salim kind of had, I wouldn't say generic, but that family-based reason to survive. He had, a son who, was a good kid, but he was stealing, and it was his birthday, and his father wanted to go back to him, and that was kind of touching. That was touching. Overall, it was amazing, but I wouldn't say it was something very unique. Jason, on the other hand, Jason was a great character, and I really liked him towards the end. Yes. Now, the bad thing, which might make me anti-something feminist, maybe. I mean, I'm not feminist. I'm not anti-feminist. I'm not connected to any of those. I think all people, doesn't matter race, gender, or anything. We should respect everyone, and we should love everyone, and we should, try to understand and comprehend the difficulties and the differences between us. And when it comes to my only issue with the game was about the female character. Yes, the female character. I don't know why I had to struggle understanding the main character, the female character. Well, she was not the main character, but she was one of the characters. Alright? And kind of, I mean, even if we look at the game's page, the Dark Pictures Anthology, you can see her face, on the screen. You can see her face being, the one to promote the game. But somehow it didn't really connect with me. I mean, she was that character who survived, and she was that character who was saying that, she was kind of being a hard ass. She was trying to be that amazing woman, strong lead, but somehow ended up being, just one of those survivors. And that's what bothers me the most, because developers could have written her character better, so we could care about her more. But I guess there are characters in supermassive games where some female, some male, where they're specific characters which you can hate, and you have the decision to maybe not save them, maybe not care about them. And I think with her character in the game, it was unfair. It was really unfair. I think they could have wrote her better, and they could have gave her more free choice. And I mean, she was basically like a woman who was loved by lieutenant and one of the soldiers, and they had that drama, and then she split up with both of them. I mean, it was kind of very I wouldn't say it was offensive towards the character, but she was like, I don't care about any men, and I'm woman, and that type of thing, which I don't quite appreciate in the games and everywhere in the movies, because I think what makes character strong and smart is not the decision making of being alone and being on their own, rather trying to understand others and to build relationships. Because I think as humans, we tend to think that we are one army man, right? We're one single person. But I think if we don't appreciate others, and if we don't realize that there are other people which need our help and which can help us too, we will struggle forever. So yeah, that was a bit of turn from the game, but yeah, I did not like the way her character was written in the game. So overall, the Dark Pictures anthology, we have Man of Medan, we have Little Hope, and House of Ashes. I would say if I could rate them, I would do the opposite. So make House of Ashes number 1, Little Hope number 2, and Man of Medan number 3. I really did not like Man of Medan that much. I enjoyed Little Hope, and the ending was very touching and very personal to me, so it's very subjective. And House of Ashes was completely, and it was grand. It was top notch. Now, what will come after? I think The Devil in Me, which comes out, I think, next year. Yes, in 2022. The Devil in Me will continue the more classic approach to the games, supermassive games, and I think that will actually help a lot and improve the horror genre. And that's why I think supermassive games and many other developers, by the way, most indie developers do give us hope for horror genre, and we have seen the horror genre evolve. If we compare the last years, nowadays a lot of games and a lot of movies and a lot of books are, coming back to life. I actually read one of the articles and on internet, and it said something about gothic horror coming back, because there are a lot of writers who publish books about gothic horror, about, that's a specific genre of horror. And I actually enjoy gothic horror a lot more than other horrors, especially, Edgar Allan Poe, the science fiction horror like Lovecraft and Phillips K. Dick. I think what people need to do is move towards that direction more, rather than just simply making games and simply making movies and just writing books about spooky ghosts, which I see is a big problem in our community, in horror community, because people are making a lot of ghost games, and I guess some of them are good, some of them really scare you, but towards the end, you must ask yourself a question: what do you want to see? You want to be jump scared and get your heart beat pumped, or do you want to enjoy quality atmospheric horror, and maybe you can enjoy that and be left with wondering and talking about what it was about, what was the reason behind it. I think that's way better to approach. I think that's the best method to approach horror, rather than just make jump scares and stuff. Anyways, thanks for watching. Whoever was on live, I think there was one person, thank you very much, and whoever will watch this in the future, thanks.